Alright, here's a scenario, a situation that has become the source of some recent local debate, like just over this past weekend. And I thought it's interesting enough, I'd do a little video about it, give my perspectives on the topic and on the issue, and then, you know, see what comes across on the comments lines. Here's the story, alright? You have an organization called Calgary Nude Recreation, and it's a nudist group, and they want to have a private function using one of the city's swimming pools. So they approach the city and ask if they can book it. They fill out all the regular forms and all of that. It's not unusual at all. In fact, it's just normal, everyday affairs with the City of Calgary to do private bookings for their swimming pools. So the city looks at their application, everything seems to be in order, and they grant them the booking. So I believe it's January 14th that they have the space booked for. And so the organization decides, you know, to advertise about it publicly, let people know about it, about their event, and it would be called the Nude Water Slide and Wave Pool event, you know. And they said, we are welcoming all. We welcome families, people of all ages, either, you know, whatever genders, whatever sexual orientations, doesn't matter to us, whatever ethnicities, skin colors, doesn't matter. We're cool with everybody. Come in and be part of this event if you're interested. So I guess they got pretty overwhelming response. My understanding is that the event is completely booked, like you can't get in there now. So they got a lot of interest, but then, you know, they also got their critics, right? And one of these critics decided, I think it was a she, I'm just going to use the she pronoun, I'm not sure who it was, but somebody started a petition. Alright, somebody started a petition to try to stop them from having this event, either stop them or make it an adult only event. Because when they saw this notion that it was open to all ages and encouraging families to participate, they thought, wait a minute, are you saying you're gonna hold an event in one of our city's facilities where you're gonna have nude children hanging out with nude adults? That doesn't sound right to us in any respect ever. And it's endangering the children. It's endangering the children because they've opened this up to the public. You're going to get the interest of pedophiles, you know. They're sitting there at their computers in their dark rooms just waiting for opportunities like this, licking their lips. You're going to get the pedophiles, children who've already had sexual trauma are going to be, you know, re-triggered. Can't have this happen, hey? Can't have children being naked around naked adults. It's just not right. So this petition goes viral, right? It gets thousands of signatures, you know, in the first 24 hours or whatever. And it's got a lot of people sharing it around on Facebook and stuff. And yeah, now the pressure's on, hey? The pressure's on. What is the city gonna do? What is this group, this organization gonna do? Are they gonna change it? Are they gonna make it adults only? Is the city gonna, you know, deny them the booking now? It's all up in question right now, okay? Pressure on the mayor with this petition. You know, the voters are speaking, saying we don't like this stuff. I don't know, to me, I can really appreciate, I can really respect the idea that, hey, hold up now, this is dangerous, potentially very dangerous to children, right? We gotta protect the children as a community. We gotta step in when we see adults doing stupid stuff that's gonna endanger children. We gotta be able to step in and say, no, we're not gonna allow that. Not in our city's facilities, right? To me, there's a lot of strength in that. I can really appreciate that. That is a noble cause to raise alarm that adults are endangering children. However, what bugs me in this particular situation is that I have not seen any evidence presented in the media, any evidence that would kind of stand up as scientific backing for the fear of the fear about the endangerment of the children in this situation. Are there studies showing that children who grow up in nudist colonies and exposed to this are negatively affected by it? Is there anything showing this? I mean, certainly there must have been studies done about this very thing, right? Nudists have been having functions forever, and I know some of those organizations are pretty serious, where it's families and stuff, and members of all ages. So somebody out there must have looked at that to see if that was, what the effects that had on the psychological development of the children, whether there was abuse, but I haven't seen anything presented publicly in that regard. Even if it wasn't an actual, scientific study, but it was a case where this kind of event with the nudist group was happening, where there was, a lot of unexpected child abuse, or, even any, but, like there's been no presentation of anything in that regard, no data, no science, no similar case studies, nothing. And so, just on the basis of these people's fears. And why do they have that fear? Because I think that's very interesting too. Because it reminds me of, like, when you're in these countries that have this Muslim rule that you have to have, the women should be covered, right, in the burqas and all of that. Women should cover up, because the fear there is that they're going to sexually attract men. It's going to lead to bad things happening, right? So in this situation, there's a fear, and the fear is we can't have naked children, you know, in a place with adults hanging out, because they're going to attract some adults sexually. That's the fear. And culturally, there might be reasons for that fear. It might be that mainstream society has kind of a pedophilic sexuality going on about itself. I mean, when you look at the pornography, what do you see? You see a lot of shaved genitals and stuff, right? Erasing that mark of maturity. You know, you see a lot of porn that's advertising, you know, these are the teens, eh? We got the teens doing this. We got the young ones. You got all that Japanimation stuff, which clearly clearly there's some pedophilic stuff going on in there, you know? This is all part of the mainstream globalizing culture. So there may be some good reason to be fearing, hey, we can't have nude children around adults, right? I don't know, but you know, there's also a side of me that remembers how I grew up. And I grew up, you know, with parents who were naked around me all the time. And for, you know, a lot of my younger years at least, I would run around naked too. I remember actually the first time I was made self-conscious about being naked. And it was a scenario where my dad had bought me this used drum set. And there was a kid who lived a few doors down, might even been his old drum set, but he had a really wicked drum set at that point. And yeah, he was, you know, he was aiming to be in a band. He was a Kiss fan and all this stuff. And his buddy was the like high school star gymnast. They were always hanging out just a couple doors down. So my dad invites this guy and his buddy over because he wants him to give me a drumming lesson. And I thought nothing of just, you know, being there for my drumming lesson in my tidy whities, you know. I was just in a pair of underwear, and I had no issue with that. But then these two, you know, teenage boys, they started laughing at me and stuff, right? They made me feel very awkward and embarrassed. And then, you know, from that day on, I made sure I didn't get put in that kind of situation again, right? So yeah, the whole thing around nudity, like I know none of my friends were exposed to their parents being nude like I was. But I don't think it had any negative effect on me. I don't know, you know, maybe it did. But I'd like to see, you know, the evidence, right, that there's a negative effect on this, you know, on children being in this situation. Because otherwise what you're doing is you're telling these people over here in this organization, you're telling them, hey, you know, you can't raise your children without the shame around their body that we have, the shame and fears that we have. You're not allowed to raise them without that, right? That's what you're telling those people if you're telling them that they can't do their thing. So I don't know. To me, I think they should just be allowed to do their thing. But I know there's other opinions, and I'm interested in hearing some arguments, like in the comments. But I want them to be like structured arguments, you know, not just that fear-based thing, if there's not some examples behind it to say that this kind of a context generates a need for that kind of a fear, right? So we'll see what happens. But anyway, it's an interesting topic, well worth some consideration, and it might lend some insight into the sexuality of our present culture.